You guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can't see you though, but we can hear you.
Yeah, for some reason it won't let me turn my camera on. I'm not sure why. Just give me 1 second. Seem to be working right now. So I guess we'll just go without it. My name's Corey. I was a student at Coding Dojo. I started in November. I graduated in March. What else is there? I started with, pretty much zero experience with anything. And after 3.5 months, I was calling myself a freelancer. And yeah, I would look for jobs, built my resume, built my projects, things that you guys are all going to be doing when you graduate. And I was one of the lucky ones to land a job relatively quickly. And I'm on currently my third week I work as an application engineer for Anthem Insurance.
Okay.
And
Nice. I heard
yeah,
of it.
so it's actually I'm on the full stack engineering team. We use a React app on the front end and an Express app on the back end. So something that you guys know very well by now. And yeah, it's been quite a learning experience so far. I'm sure Rob has mentioned to you guys something called imposter syndrome. And I got a lot of that right now because it's like there's a lot of like new stuff to learn. So there's a lot of familiar stuff from MERN stack that I see, such as, like the React app, the Express app. Like there's things that I recognize. But the first couple of weeks has just been like setting up the local environment. I work 100% remotely, so they sent me a MacBook, developer Mac, and that's been a challenge too because I'm a Windows guy. So it's been just altogether like a learning curve and a lot. But there's one of the engineers on my team is actually also from a boot camp, and we were talking, and he was like, "Yeah, it's a lot. It's overwhelming at first, but my team is very like supportive and nice." And I actually just finished my first assignment yesterday. It was I got a user story. I was like assigned a user story to implement like sorting and filtering on some table, and it took me like a week because it was just some new stuff that I had to work with, but I finally got it done. And yeah, so that's really all I've got. Uh, just 3 weeks in. Kind of like a first glance at like my experience. You guys can like ask me questions if you want.
Yeah, I have a quick question. When you said at the beginning, you said you called yourself a freelancer. Were you doing like work on the side at first, like getting actual paid projects done?
No, I wasn't. I
Oh,
was
okay.
basically, I would say that,
Mhm.
but more, it was more so just like some solo projects, pretty much right out of the gate. Just I wanted to have like I had a good Java project. I wanted to have a good React project and a good
Nice.
Python project.
Okay, so you
So
had like,
that's what I called it.
oh, very nice. Okay, cool.
But yeah, no paid work.
Okay, and when you were in the interview, is that how you, or is that how you refer to it to them? It's like I'm a freelancer, or you just said this is what I have that I've worked on?
It was the former. That's where I went into it. And you guys are freelancers if you think about it, because
Mhm.
like you're gonna have personal projects or projects that you work on with like a classmate. Like that's a freelancer to me. Like, you have personal projects out there. Freelancer, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, lean into your experience at the dojo and you know have like a forward leaning resume. Like if you have like 6 months of coding experience, call it a year, and be like confident, and employers will pick up on that.
Very nice. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome. Does anyone have any other
Yeah,
questions?
hey, Corey, I'm Peter. Thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it.
Hey Peter, what's up?
I'm just wondering how, can you speak to how confident or not confident you felt coming out of the program? Like, ready to go look at the landscape of the industry and look for jobs and get interviews and do well in interviews? Like, did you feel ready immediately upon graduating, or did you feel like you needed to take some time afterward to like work on algos independently or do your own projects? It sounds like maybe the projects part for sure.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I felt a little uncertain just because it's like a new, you guys are presumably like have, this is your only experience, just like it was for me. And uh, right when I graduated, it was mostly just trying to finish projects. I would work on it every day. I had a couple React projects. I kind of figured I wanted to do React. I wanted to look for a React job. So that's what I was focusing on. I had those React projects. And yeah, when it came to the interviews, there were a couple of them like where I didn't know some things. Like sometimes I would get questions like, okay, I'm not sure what that is, but as long as you're like uh the employers want to see that you're like eager to learn more. And if you find like someone, some employer that's looking for a junior like developer, you're a perfect candidate for that. You have like solo projects deployed on the internet, and they're full stack projects, and you're totally hireable out of the gate. It's just again like leaning into your experience and and finding the right kind of company. James, to see your question, I found it through a recruiter. And this was like really important because I don't think I would have gotten the job without the help from the recruiter. Yeah, Peter, sorry to pivot away so quickly. I hope that answered your question.
That was great. Thank you, man.
Yeah. So I found a recruiter. I put my resume on, there's this website called Dice. It's like this tech recruitment website. I'll give you fair warning. You're going to get a lot of like phone calls if you put your resume on there. Some voicemails you'll get, you may not be able to understand. But there are some recruiters out there that are really good and that can like market your resume to their clients and like line up the interviews for you. I hope that was a good answer, James. How many job interviews did you go through before you got hired? I'm one of the lucky ones. It was only like a few. It was I got lucky, so you'll probably go through a few of them, and some of them won't be the right fit for you. But you will find something, I promise. You will find something. As long as you stay active during the recruitment process. So like every day I was like sending resumes, sending emails, all that stuff. You got to stay busy. Algos and interviews. Some of them. Some of them I got. So a lot of times you'll find before someone will even interview you, they have you pass like some kind of technical assessment. Take those very seriously. I had the company that hired me. I was given a homework assignment, so I had an interview like the next day. It was like 1:00 in the afternoon, and they emailed me and gave me an assignment to hand in by 4:00. I think that's what got me the job because the interview itself was not that strong, but they asked me to build a GitHub API where you can type in a company's name and it spits out like, information, the company logo, all that stuff.
Is it just like Pokemon API where you just like make an access call to GitHub's API and get that response back and just parse it on the page?
Yeah, it's just like the APIs that you guys have been building this whole stack. Exactly the same thing. And I had to look, they gave me, it's like an API that already existed, right? So I had to go to the documentation. I had to look at, the endpoints, and I worked the full like 3 or 4 hours, however long I had, and I got it in, just on time. But those homework assignments, it was optional. It was optional. It was not mandatory, but I think it got me the job. So like always take those very seriously, and give it your best shot when it comes to the homework assignments.
Hey, Corey, why do you think, I mean, this is kind of to go off with that question. Why do you think you didn't do very well in that interview?
So the interview was,
You can answer. I don't feel like you have to disclose everything, but just
no,
I'm
no,
curious.
it's fine. Yeah. So, the interview was kind of, it started off as like a meet and greet, and then they gave me they said they wanted me to implement something on a simple React app. And I kind of got distracted a little bit with styling. I'm not gonna lie. It was like, implement this. It was like a to-do list, but with left and right arrows. And if you click on the arrow, it moves it to a different like column. They wanted me to implement that using React. And I got a little distracted with styling, but towards the end, I just like ran out of time, honestly. And they were like, okay, so like, how would you do it? We're out of time. And I was like, oh, okay. So like, we can use state, you guys know that. And I was able to use like a map function to like display the tasks dynamically on the page, and and inside of use state variables. And that was enough for them, I guess. I mean, that combined with the homework assignment, they hired me.
So let me ask this. So remember, Corey, I gave students, like, if they didn't have a project week idea, like that finance tracker or e-commerce idea,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
chart. So some students were wondering, like, if that would be sufficient for a project for interviews and getting hired, like a
Yeah.
full stack project. It even has like a chart filtering,
Yeah.
sort things by date range.
Yeah. So like, that's definitely enough. As long as you're using like, if it's a React project, you got to use React. Comes with a bunch of tools out of the box that you guys know about already, like use effect, use state, Axios you can use in your projects. Like all those things are important to show that you know how to use them. APIs are just very important as well. Yeah, those would be great projects to show to employers.
And
Yeah.
do you have to talk about these concepts at any point, like explain what use state is or why you would use effects?
Yeah, definitely. It's they'll ask you like, how do you do this? Like they'll ask you to explain your code. It's important that you if you're going to be showing it to employers, that you're intimately familiar with it, and that like where things are and how things work. You should be ready to speak on that. Yeah.
Good, nice. And how'd you market yourself in terms of experience? I know the coding bootcamp is 3.5 months. Some of us repeat Python like I did and many others, so it's 4.5 months. But I mean, how many hours per week were you putting in to the program?
A lot. I was working like 60 hours a week, probably. I was just, yeah.
Yeah,
I was full send. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like outside of class and outside of the dojo assignments, I wanted to, set myself up for success. I was, it's basically just projects, right? Like going through the bonus content, which you guys, I think, are getting like this week, right?
Yeah, with
like
the login registration socket.
Yeah. There's merge stack takes like a lot of time for me anyways. Like it took me the duration of the stack to like graduate, obviously, but then I spent another like month really, or like 3 weeks, like going over all the bonus content, like learning the stuff that's optional. All of it will spice up your projects and make you look better. So I was just staying busy like that, and again, just sending out a ton of resumes, a ton of them. Go follow career services advice with how your resume should look. Like I don't know if you guys know Brian Sanchez. He was my career services manager. I showed him my resume after I graduated, and he was like, "No, we're gonna change this." I was like, "Okay," and I did it exactly how he wanted me to do it, and it looked a lot better, and that really helped. So yeah, take his advice seriously. Follow the career services recommendations, and you guys should do just fine. Sorry if I'm missing questions. Let me look through the chat. What did they ask me during the interview? Basically just ask me about like my experience and what I'm looking for. So like my story was, and it's not really like lying or anything, but you have to have a certain like story that you tell people, right? Like, where are you coming from? Why are you applying to this job? You should have some kind of a narration for yourself that makes sense. Mine was like, okay, I was a freelancer. I went to boot camp to like sharpen my skills. I'm really tired of freelancing because it's hard and there's a lot of like sales and marketing that go into it. I just want to code. So I'm looking for a company to call home. That was my story. Whatever your story is, it's fine as long as you're prepared to talk on it. Because people, they're not just going to ask you, here, solve this algorithm. They're going to ask you like, why are you applying? Where do you see yourself? Why did you leave your last job? Stuff like that. So like, the more you can talk about that, the better. What made me lean towards React over another language? I'm not exactly sure. It was my only black belt, first of all. And then other things are like Python, I struggled with a little bit. Java was I just preferred React over Java. I like VS Code a lot, and Spring Tool Suite is cool and stuff, but I just kind of figured it out after graduating. Like, all right, out of these 3 stacks, I think it's gonna be MERN. So I just kind of like leaned into that, and because your career services manager will tell you this, but you should have a title on your resume. So like my title was full stack React developer, and I was applying for React jobs with that title. So yeah, it wasn't really anything in particular that steered me towards React. It's just the way it happened.
Nice. So yeah, that's really good information, knowing that you didn't have to be like a triple black belt, that you had to put in like 60, 70 hours a week consistently, and that your project, it didn't have to be like the next Facebook. It was just a full stack application with some bonus features, maybe like a little bit more complicated than a belt exam, and just show eagerness and apply everything that the career services manager tells you to do, including applying to jobs, and that you're that'll set you up for success. Now, in the job itself, I know when I got my first job, I would have a lot of questions sometimes, because it was you'd be working on code. You're most likely working on building on top of existing code, right?
Yeah. So after the laptop was set up to be able to run the code locally, that took a week. So after that week, it was just, I wasn't even in contact with my manager. And I was asking him a lot of questions, and he was like, yo, chill, just like get to know the code base. This takes a while. And I was feeling a little jittery, like, okay, I don't know like what all of this is doing. And I had a lot of questions, but it's kind of a long process to learn existing code base, to see how things work together, and to get a feel for it. That takes a sizable chunk of time, and it may feel overwhelming at times, but the more you like work on it, and the more you like test things out and move things around, you will get to know the code base. Yeah.
Now, would you say being a great way to practice for working with existing code bases would be to work with other students during the boot camp to help each other with their existing code bases?
Yes, absolutely. That would be, it's always good to look at other people's code because that's what you're going to be doing when you get a job. Also, working with Git and GitHub is important. And like if you're only doing solo projects, your GitHub experience will just consist of like pushing your own code to GitHub. But really like what it's about in the industry is branching off of like existing code base, like Rob just said. But like you have to know how to use GitHub like with more than one person. And you should be looking at other people's code again and working on as teams because it will prepare you for what you're going to be doing when you get a job. Let's see. Multiple versions of your resume, or you just used one? I had multiple versions. Yep. I had this really big Java project. It's like a social media website. Rob helped me out with that too, actually. Thank you. But so I had I had two resumes really, because I was looking for Java and React jobs. So I had a Java and React resume. Resume 1, resume 2. And depending on like which job I was applying for, I would send that, corresponding resume out with it. Yeah, that's a good idea. What's it like working remote as a first time developer job? It's like, honestly, too good to be true. My team is just like amazing. They're all like friendly and supportive. I'm 100% remote. It's like, I don't have to leave my apartment to go to work. They sent me like all this equipment. It's really, really fun. Really good. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You guys will be there. You guys will be there soon enough. I was where you are two months ago, literally. Just got to stay busy and keep looking.
Yeah, I remember you were very tenacious though. That's the thing. It's the results may vary, everybody. Results may vary because you have to really get after it. And one thing about Corey that I remember a lot is he's someone that would be very tenacious, but also very tenacious, but with a very good social attitude. So it's not like aggressive, but tenacious and wanting to get it done, hungry to learn, hungry to get to the next level. Like during project week, I know it's very easy when you pass your exam. Maybe you want to take a day off and that's okay. But for the rest of the week, you might want to feel like, hey, I want to just kind of relax and enjoy for a little bit before the next stack, right? That attitude needs to shift to like, maybe how can I wants to do this? Like really inspire yourself to really want to learn and think about all the benefits you'd get from learning it. Maybe something that can help you with that. And Craig, you have a hand raised?
Yeah, I was just curious. So, like, they on the job, you're working remote. Are they giving you assignments and like you have to like check in every day, and or they give you your space to work? Like I get into the zone like late in the evening and work through the night sometimes. I mean, is there a daily situation of some sort?
Yeah, so we do something called a daily stand-up. It's every day in the morning, where you basically just talk about what it is you're working on, what is blocking you. You'll hear that like terminology. If you're if you have a problem that you need help with, that would be the time that you check in. Obviously every company's different. But yeah, we have a daily stand up at 10:30. It lasts about 30 minutes. With regards to working afternoon to evening, um, it's kind of a mixed bag because I do get a lot of time like to work whenever I want. Like you could log on at 8 o'clock, fire up your servers and start coding. Yes. But it's also important that you're around during the day because you will be on a team and other people, as part of a team, you have to be accessible to people if and when they need you. As a new hire, you're probably not going to be, helping other people code that much, but you're going to be on a team and people work during the day and night probably. So I guess it just depends, really. You're certainly free to do, you know, work whenever you want, though, which is good. I see a question. Did you wait until the boot camp ended to apply for jobs? Yes, I did. In fact, I wasn't even ready to apply yet. Like when I graduated, I wasn't done with my projects or my resume. So like I had this kind of timeline, like, okay, I graduated. Now I need a resume to apply for jobs, but I need projects to complete the resume. So there was this timeline that went from graduation. Right after I graduated, it was just full time getting my projects finished, deploying them. And then once I had 2 good projects, I was like, okay, let's meet with Ryan and see like how I can fix up this resume. And then once that was done, I started just spamming it everywhere, like Dice, like all these. I spent like full time applying, full time, like 8 hours, take a lunch break, go back to it, like send it out everywhere. And I got a lot of phone calls back, a lot of recruiters, and that's that's where it went from there.
So the technical growth that you had was obviously from in a boot camp. You had to graduate by completing the 90% core assignments and the exam, but it was really the projects that you focused on as your main way to improve your skill set. Right?
Yeah. I was it's about the projects really, and like the bonus content too. Again, I know I've said that before, but like that was a part of my projects, like the login registration for MERN. It's a time consuming project, but it was important to know because like guess what, my company that I work for now uses JSON web tokens in their React app, and like that's something I learned from the bonus content. So like really like doing the optional stuff and making your projects more robust will not only be like valuable to show to employers, but it'll also help you talk on things. And like, if you go into your interview already knowing what a JSON web token is, if it comes up, you can talk about it, it makes it, it sharpens your knife pretty much.
Nice. I see a question.
I
How
hope that was a good
often do
question.
you find yourself Google researching? And for me, I remember it was like 1/3 of the job was Google researching. How about you, Corey?
All the time. Yeah. There's this new thing that I'm working with right now called Sequelize. It's like an ORM. It's similar to you guys are not in Java yet, but like it's a thing that helps you write like SQL queries, and it's new to me. And I'm on Google all the time, just trying to figure out like how to work the thing. Yeah. Because I don't want to bother like my boss like all the time. It's important that they see you doing due diligence before you ask for help. So like, and half the time you'll get the answer on your own because you guys are developers now. How good is the documentation at your job? Are the comments in the code useful? Are there any external documents that help that learning process of the existing code base? Yeah, so basically the first thing that I was handed to look at is the readmes. So like they send me a laptop, I turn it on, I get it like, on and running. The first thing I do, I go to the company's GitHub and look at the README. In the README, there's instructions for how to get the local environment set up so that you can run the company's code. And that's basically where the job started, just setting up the laptop, getting the local environment ready. It took about like a week. There are comments in the code. Some of this was not always comments though. There's a lot of it like off the bat, just looking at it, I'm wondering like, okay, what is this? Like, what am I looking at? But there are a good amount of comments elsewhere that help you learn what the code is. I hope that answered your question. So they didn't expect me to know everything right off the bat. No, they didn't. I actually, I spoke with my manager about this. I was like, okay, a lot of this is familiar, but a lot of it's new. Like, I'm nervous. And he was like, nah, don't sweat it, bro. You're, you know, he literally said to me, we don't expect you to contribute right off the bat. And I have some developer friends who, I hang out with them in Discord sometimes, and like we go into high school together. And I was like, kind of on my first week, I was like, dude, this thing's not working right. They're gonna fire me. I'm so nervous. Like, I'm not good enough. First week jitters, very real thing. But and my developer friend who's been in the industry for years, he's like, nah, chill, you're bugging. Like, it takes a minute to get onboarded. It takes a minute to get familiar with the code base. They don't expect you to just dive right in on your first week and know how everything works. I got an assignment, like, it was 2 weeks really, like setting up the computer and then getting into the code base. And then I got my first assignment, and like me and my, I try it on my own. I spend a day like working on it, and then I ask for help. And then, I move a bit forward. I spend another day working on it, and then I ask for help. And I have like these little like check-ins, progress reports. And after a week, I got the assignment finished. I don't know any more than you guys do about React at this point, right? Like, I went through the same exact program that you guys are going in right now. So like, if they hired me, they'd probably hire you too. It's just about like how much work you put in and how hard you're looking. But you will find something as long as you're doing the work.
Nice. And I remember during project week was when it seemed like you stepped it up the mode, like you went extra mode, like extra grind mode during project week, and that's really good.
Yeah, my project week was my busiest week of the whole boot camp, because like I could have retaken my Java. I got a red belt in Java. I could have retaken the exam, but it was just more important to me to get the project done. And my project was like more complicated than a black belt exam anyways. It's not all about the exam. Like, obviously you got to pass, right? But the projects, I think, carry more weight, because like that's what you're going to be showing people. You're not going to show them your exam. You could if it's nice, right? But you should spend your time this week really like creating something good. For me, it was like many to many like relationships and like a big Java project.
Nice. Thank you, Corey. Are there any other questions you guys have for Corey? I want to also respect. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question in regards to algos. Like, where are you in terms of your knowledge of algos at this point? It seems like your emphasis is definitely on projects.
Yeah.
What about algos?
Algos are important. I've counted myself as good with algorithms. I wasn't the best by any means. They're important because they will, they teach you like how to think about code. You're not necessarily going to get an algorithm in every interview. I had interviews that there was no algorithm, and they were just asking about like, do you know what this is? Do you know what that is? What is this? And they would just kind of like ask me things. But there were also interviews where I had algorithms. It's important to practice it, especially if you're struggling with algorithms. But it's not necessarily going to show up everywhere. It's kind of a mixed answer.
Gotcha.
There's a good place if you go to Leak Code. That's a good place to practice. You could filter algorithms by difficulty and work your way up. If you're doing that and you have like the resume and the projects down and stuff, you should be good. You should be good to go.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Was the interview one-on-one or with multiple people? It was with multiple people. It was with the interview that I succeeded in landing a job was the manager, and then both of the like engineering leads. And it was a 1-round interview. I got super lucky. But yeah, it was basically 3 people that were interviewing me.
Any other questions?
Wish I could talk more about the job experience, but there's like less than 3 weeks, so still kind of still in the process of learning. Always learning, even outside of the boot camp. Like, your education will not stop when you graduate.
Yeah, that's true. It's lifelong learning. So once you get into the process of enjoying the process of learning and really having fun with learning, then it'll make you absolutely unstoppable, because you're going to get into flow state. And flow state is one of the most healing places you can be in, because you're going to be super present, learning something new and being excited and enthusiastic about it. And you're going to have to do that for the work anyway. So might as well love it. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you guys. I'm honored that you guys find this helpful. You know, I was where you guys are a couple months ago. So you got this.
We appreciate you coming. I know you're busy at work right now, so we appreciate you taking a moment out of your day to give us some, advice and share your experience with us, so that we can have a better perspective as well. So thank you so much, Corey, for your time. I'm gonna